Hello everybody, my name is Clara or Gem Lover here, and today we're going to do a possible Black Story podcast episode, which is Ming from Turning Red. Originally I wanted to do a Vera Webster one, but I decided to do a Ming one because I thought of the backstory. So yeah, if you don't know who Ming is, she is the mother of Maylin Lee or Mei Mei. She wants her daughter to be perfect and a good student and a grade A student. But somehow when she found out that she has the power of the red panda, she wanted it to stash it away and seal it to a place and all that kind of stuff. And yeah. Alright, so let's get to the backstory. So Mei Ling, I assume, was born in 1940 or 1950, depending on the year. She was the daughter of Wu, Grandma Wu, which I don't like, and a father of a veteran survivor. So yeah, that's what I can think of. Growing up, Ming loved her father, and he loved telling her stories about his early days, but except the war. And Grandma Moo didn't like her husband telling him about Ming telling about the war. Sorry about that. So she divorced her husband and took Ming with her. And Ming caused Ming to be so upset. In teenage years, she went to a high school, and she was bullied by some other students, calling her a freak, and her mother is a control freak. And that made Ming so upset that she got mad and snapped, and she broke down into tears. And at night, she had this dream as Mei Mei, I assume, because of the pandas going around. And when she woke up, she can see herself as a giant red panda, just like Mei Ling. And she tried to calm herself down until Wu found out. And Wu told Ming about Sun Yi and her gift. And there is a cure for it. And the cure is for the panda cursed. So Ming agreed, but somehow, much time later, she met Jin at high school. And Jin and Ming were so in love, they decided to have dinner at Wu's. But Wu didn't approve of Ming, so she got very angry and turned into a giant Mingzilla red panda. She began to destroy the temple and eventually hurt her mom in the process and almost killed her. Feeling guilty about it, she begins to run away into a tree, and her sister told her what's wrong, and she told her she hurt her, which is in the movie, like, oh, I hurt my mom and all that kind of stuff. And so yeah. So in the age of 17, she decided to remove her panda once and for all. So she removed her panda with a red necklace, which Ming is wearing in the movie. And she is back to normal, and life is going well. And when Ming was a full grown adult, she began to marry Jin. And a few months later, Ming gave birth to Mei Mei, and she called her Mei Mei for her whole life, and she was born to be perfect and all that kind of mess. And she began to tell about the ancestor, the Sun Yi, and how she saved her daughters from the war, about turning herself into a red panda. In a few years of that, the movie Turning Red takes place. Ming was waiting here to find Mei to help her temple and until May shows Ming her grades and she approves. So they clean up the temple, and then they have dinner with Jin. And the Four Town commercial comes up, and she asks why it was named Four Town. And fun fact, in Chinese culture, 4 is an unlucky number, just so you know. Back to it, Ming is making some kind of orange dish thing for her until she found Mei Mei's diary, which is filled with drawings of Devon. And she begins to worry and overreact of Devon placing a hand on her. So she goes here and scolds Devon for his actions, and eventually shows Devon the picture that Mei drawn, embarrassing Mei in the process. So she takes Mei home and sends her to bed, and while Mei screams in rage, telling herself that is a sissy thing to do. And the next morning, Ming is making Mei breakfast. And then when Mei went to the bathroom, she saw herself with the giant red panda and screamed in horror, making me believe that she is having her first period, which is weird. And she asks Mei that she's okay, and she grabs the period pads while Mei's in the shower, hiding from her mother. As Ming tries to open the shower curtain, she can hear the smoke alarm, and she begins to run for her porridge and eventually cool it down and get something else to eat. And when she's taking her daughter Mei to school, she begins to get her supplies, and Mei begins to act weird until she begins to stalk Mei in school. Until she gets caught by a guard, she eventually tries to yell, "Mei, tell me it's mommy," calling all that kind of stuff. And she forgot her pads, which is quite embarrassing, but a little funny sometimes. And that's how Ming poofed into a red panda and ran away, causing Ming to chase her. And when Ming gets back to the temple, Jin began to spoil out the word, and Mei is like, "What?" So Ming and Jin took her to the temple to tell her about Sun Yi. After Ming told Mei about Sun Yi, Mei gets mad and tries to destroy the family portrait. But Ming stops her and tells her there's a cure for it, and tells her that she had the panda and sealed it away. And she begins to take the stuff out of Mei's room, and leaving a bed and leaving a mattress and a pillow for her. And while Ming is cleaning up, she begins to notice red panda fur all over, so she decides to clean it until she hears her rumbling around, assuming that Mei is trying to destroy her herself. And so, yeah. And a few minutes later, she begins to come to Mei's room, and Mei tells her mother that she can control her red panda spirit. And so they begin to test her, and she passes the test, but except for Four Town, which is really exciting for Mei. She begins to tell her she'll get into a frenzy of panda all over. So Mei begins to keep a secret and stash the money for Four Town. And later, Ming finds out of it, and her grandma, her mother, and her sisters and Ruth's sisters begin to prepare for the ritual, and she like I said, she finds out, and she goes to Tyler's house to see Mei hurting Tyler, and Tyler's parents scold Ming for her daughter's actions, and so Ming got mad at Mei's friends and tell them they're a bad influence on her. So, and a few days later, Mei is going to do the ritual, which she already has. So she begins to do the ritual, and it fails in leaving her panda current. Then she runs away, and Mei and the others try to stop her, but she says that this is actually her. Ming gets extremely mad, and she, in her panda spirit, unleashes, and she turns into a giant red panda, just like a Godzilla way. And she tries to find Mei to force her home and possibly ground her for that. And so she begins to go look into the Sky Dome and look for Mei. And she begins to destroy the rooftop and grab Mei. And she yells at Mei that she's in big trouble, and she destroys the Four-Town concert. And she yells at everybody to go home and put some clothes on. And then Mei bites her mother, and making Ming let go of her. And Mei yells at her that she is 13 and it was her idea to go to Tyler's party. And she was lying to her the whole time, making Ming roar in uncontrollable rage. And so she begins to chase Mei around and making her scream in rage. And until Mei headbutted her, knocking her out. In the Australian realm, Ming begins to remove her panda, but not Mei's. And a few weeks later, I assume that she is making money of the panda about Mei's panda. And her panda is stored away in Mei's little technology thing. I forgot what it's called. I'm sorry. And so her friends come over, and she begins to tell Mei that she's not going like that, but it's her panda, her choice. And so and I think that's how it started Ming Ling's life. So what do you think? Is my theory correct or incorrect? What possible backstory should I make? Comment down below.